Alan, Toshiba, the venerable Japanese electronics groups, which had been really a bellwether for Japanese corporate governance, has come up this morning with a multi-billion-dollar loss. It's come up with an auditor's fine. Ernst & Young has been fined, and there's some more bad news in the machinery. Please tell me what is going on. We thought these guys were kosher.
Yeah, in probably 2 years ago, they were showing up on top 10 lists in Japan for as being the models of corporate governance. They even had the external director. They seemed to be doing all the right things and were being praised for that. And they blithely took that praise and lied about everything in order to hide some losses in certain areas. Remember, they have a big...
Is lied too strong a word, do we think?
Lied, maybe. Well, there was some fraud here, and they admitted that they covered up losses in certain areas, and they now have to deal with the consequences, and these are quite severe.
So what are the likely costs of this reputational damage that they've inflicted upon themselves?
Well, already today we've seen that they've admitted that there's going to be about 260 billion yen in restructuring charges just for layoffs that they're going to have to do. Another 110 million in asset write-downs, billion in asset write-downs. So we're talking about, as you said, about $3 billion worth of write-offs. There's a lot of damage here to the balance sheet.
So how do we go about fixing this? What do they do? Can they raise equity? Can they turn? What do they do? Do they turn to their banks for a new banking line?
It's going to be all about the banks because, one, they've been put on an alert status by the Tokyo Stock Exchange. They are not going to be allowed to raise money anytime soon. That's been in place in September, so I think that lasts about a year. The Moody's has downgraded them to junk. Most of the debt that's coming due over the next 2 years, and that's about 1 trillion yen, that is mostly bank loans and credit revolvers. So it's not so much bonds, but still that's going to affect them. So they're very reliant on their banks. It's not going to be easy to fill the holes that they're now causing to their balance sheet, or quick to deal with these problems. So, you know, the ramifications of this are great and widespread.
Okay, Alan, it sounds as though a root and branch reform of the group's culture still needs to happen, and that we should perhaps be more investigative when we look at these icons of corporate governance. Thank you very much, Alan.